podcast listeners, if you hear my voice right now, I need you to do something for me. I want you to take out your phone or on your computer, go to Apple Podcasts, search for Ask Your Oldhead podcast. You'll see my logo, my little picture, my little image there. Find the show. Please rate and write a review. It's a small thing, but it helps others find this work and find what I'm doing here. And it really, really matters, as small as that may seem. So if you could please do that before we get into the show, I would much appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Let's get into it. Peace. Peace. I'm Majestic.
My brother, Justice Rajee.
So, it's been a long time, you know what I'm saying? You know, we ain't leave people with a beat to step to or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, they be all right, though. It's been busy.
Life be life, you know. Y'all should understand, and even though, you know, and I think in a positive way, people have been saying to me, like, yo, when y'all recording again? Right? Which is cool that y'all are listening and actually want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah.
It's just that the other stuff behind it is that we be doing a lot of stuff. But we're gonna bring more to y'all, but we be doing a lot of stuff. It'd be a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, it'd be happening.
Good stuff, but a lot of stuff happening.
There's a whole world out there. So, you know, I think we start with seems to be the heartbeat of the moment. Whatever is transpiring with LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James, I'ma just say to be, you know, transparent and forthwith. I knew the initial thing that happened, the basic context that, you know, the criticism of young LeBron James, you know, Bronny James, because he does go by Bronny as like his first name, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bronny, because I don't want to be calling a grown man Bronny. If that's not, you know what I mean? He want to be.
Yeah, I think it's LeBron James Jr., but in order, since they both got to be in the same room, it's Bronny.
He'd be Bronny. So, one love to Bronny. So, you know, and the criticism of the Lakers for taking, you know, all the stuff. But then that somewhere in there, and in that dialogue, there was a statement that sort of passed into like, you know, you as a father are not a good father for putting your son in this position or something of that nature. Which for some people, I felt like, cause I saw, you know, I monitor, I try to, things that I don't pay a whole lot of attention to, I try to get at least a sense of what other people think about it by what they decide to share. Especially on the to the degree that anything on social networks is real. People who I actually know in real life and have, you know, spent time with, and I don't, you know, I ain't had no new friends. So I have at least some level of like, okay, wow, they really talking about that. And people kind of going like, well, you know, kind of just jump into, I knew then, and I guess I'm slow rolling to the, I ran up on him at a game in front of everybody, basically like, keep my son's name out your mouth. God damn it. Or like whatever he said, it was, as a father, it was you have crossed the line, you know, engagement. That's how I read it. Now you know, again, I might be looking at it with Justice, you know, the protector eyes that go, yeah, whatever I had to say, what I had to protect the interests and well-being of the people that I care about, you know what I'm saying? You know, y'all gonna have to give me a pardon on that if you think I went too far. But I get it. And then, you know, and then there was like a return and I think Stephen A. Smith, I remember, because I did see that part made the kind of the like, LeBron could have said something to me all these other ways, but he chose to do it in public like that. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, maybe, but it definitely, it had to look at me like, you had not seen the person you got an issue with in a minute, and then you seen him, and you're like, oh, he right there. Let me go over there and let him know how I feel real quick. Let me give him a little piece of my mind. So anyway,
right.
This is very long just to set up this, because I don't want people to be like, oh, just don't even know what he's talking about. He don't watch the shows every day. I don't even have ESPN right now, so I don't know what the hell show every day. Doggone it. But apparently it went real wild again. So chess pass to you to what is your entry point and thought on this situation?
Yeah, man. Like most things that you and I end up talking about, it looks one way, but it's really it can be seen as something else,
Mm,
right? And so I want to give a kind of top line before I go into the most interesting parts to me, which is what's been happening recently.
mm-hmm,
We are fathers. It is one of the most fundamental elements of our personalities,
mm-hmm,
right? Um, and to your point, protecting those who, you are designed to protect. And it doesn't matter if they're 4 or 44, right? If they're 8 or 84, like you protect them.
mm-hmm,
I do think, though, as LeBron James, there is a place where you created some more space for fair game.
mm-hmm,
When your son decided to become a professional basketball player,
mm-hmm,
when you told people, if you want me to play on your team, pick my son. Like when you did those kind of things, you took them out of like we want our privacy, and kind of put you in the attention economy. And I'll go to that a little later because I think that this is a big part of this. So I don't, when the whole him stepping to Stephen A. and them not liking each other and the whole bit of it, it was like, okay, it is what it is. And it also did help later that Bronny scored like 17 points in the game. And although he's still getting cooked on defense, right? Like, it was cool. He scored. And now one may argue that he should play in the pros. That's kind of still a debate for me because Jeremy Lin had Linsanity, and then things happened, right? There's a whole bunch of people who we remember were really good in professional basketball for a small amount of time, but they did not have a career.
mm-hmm,
So time will only tell if you're framing like LeBron James Jr. as like having a career. The biggest parts of it is more when going the conversation around LeBron going on the Pat McAfee show, right? And a little stuff to this because I find myself researching a lot about ESPN recently, is this whole debate on how the Pat McAfee show functions. And it essentially functions like Pat McAfee records and does whatever he wants to do and then sends ESPN the tape and says, play it.
mm.
Like that's his contract. You've never seen Pat McAfee in a place on Bristol, Connecticut, LA, never. He records Indianapolis or wherever he's at. He records where he records.
Mm.
They curse, they do all kind of stuff. That's how his contract is written. He's very handsomely paid for his career, for what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much so that Stephen A. Smith had to go get his own night show, right? And kind of do a Pat McAfee
Mm-hmm.
to have his own show to say what he wanted to say. So it's no surprise that LeBron and Rich Paul and them decide to go on Pat McAfee show where he can just say whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Like not a podcast, not a like specifically going on there as a poke in Stephen A. Smith's eye. From a business perspective.
Mm.
He goes on to say a whole host of things, talks about Stephen A. Smith, which is fine. I mean, we always get into this whole thing about what do we expect from athletes. I don't expect anything from athletes. I have a low bar for what I take. I do think though, Brian, you gotta pick. I understand people want to be both and, but you gotta pick, dog. Like, are you above the fray or below the fray? Because if you're above the fray, then I'm gonna give you all the respect of being above the fray. You dig what I'm saying? But when you come below the fray, that means you're in the scrum with the rest of us. And that means you're subject, right? So when you start posting, Stephen A. Smith not being able to punch and looking flabby and sick, like Pac said about Larry Holmes and De La Soul, it's like, okay, you stepped into this place where you're in the scrum. And then I would argue Stephen A. Smith gave him exactly what he was looking for. Stephen A. went a little too far, but he gave him what he was looking for. But the biggest piece to me out of this was the role of how black men are interacting in the attention economy.
Mm.
Like, because y'all are doing this for attention. If you wanted to resolve this issue, LeBron, Stephen A. Smith, y'all could go to the table at one of the nice restaurants in LA that y'all go to. And there's a back room, nobody knows you're there, and y'all could resolve this. Y'all could argue with each other, say crazy shit to each other, and then be done with it and walk out and say, look at, black men knew how to work it out. The brother's gonna work it out, right?
Yeah.
But y'all don't want to do that.
Right.
This is the attention economy and are being wrapped up into what started clearly somewhere personal that now has become some broader representation of something that it's not. It's not for Stephen A. Smith. It's not for LeBron James. Y'all all are creating content. And so it just makes me think about, like, when we're in this attention economy and people are perpetually creating content for us to take in, the question starts to be, when do trusted sources then start sending us down a path that actually is a bit silly? Like the people that you trust. And again, I'm saying LeBron, people are like, oh man, LeBron, look, he's a family man. Look, LeBron said this, LeBron did this, LeBron, he opened up a charter, he opened up a school. LeBron did it all, right? Oh, Stephen A. Smith went from a reporter at, Winston-Salem. I think he was first. He was there first, and he
Yeah.
went to the Philadelphia Daily News, and meteoric rise. Well, I guess if it takes 30 years to have a meteor go somewhere, right? But yeah, 30-year meteoric rise. But now it feels like both of y'all that have generally been trusted sources are like gaming us into this attention economy with not the highest elements of both of your personalities. And so in that way, it kind of seems like wrestling.
Mm.
Because what do I have to pay attention? Okay, Stephen Smith, you got a really big contract now, but do I have to pay attention to you? And to pay attention to you, what are you going to talk about every day? The Lakers. What are you going to talk about? The Warriors, right? You're going to talk about LeBron. LeBron, in order to keep relevance, you go on shows and like talk about this man because with stuff that y'all could have solved. So it just really, for me, is like, what are we using the attention economy for? And people can use it for a variety of ways. This is me not trying to be nobody's cop, but it does make me think of like what happens when the sources you trust to show up a certain way
Mhm.
are now putting other stuff in the mix. So that's like my take on it is not even about if Bron's a good father. Stephen A. Smith wears suits that too many colors, that monochromatic thing he be having going on, like white on white on white or purple on purple on purple, that be messing my head up when I watch the show. But like I ain't trying to get at all that. I'm just trying to say, like, I think the attention piece of it is the piece that I'm questioning more than anything.
Piece, because it is a so, and make I'm gonna take this moment to make this about me for a couple minutes. So I've been, we've been talking about where we're doing, where we're going with what we're doing, where I'm going with what I'm doing together. It's like we've been working on some creative stuff, talk about some things over the last couple of months. And anyone that does listen, if you listen all the way at the end when I be talking with them, don't know nobody be listening. When I listen to other podcasts, nobody listens to that part. But I'm just saying, I be like, yeah, any day now, this new stuff, these new ideas, it was about to be pop, it's gonna pop, right? But I was doing doing some work on things, and I was like thinking about social media and in the two roles, me as just a person, Justice is the person that does creative and interesting things and wants to do other creative and interesting and storytelling and telling jokes and making people laugh, make people think. Won't Justice as elected public official, right? And like, do I need to have a platform and engage with my community and like tell them stuff on my social media and and then and given all of the stuff that's happening on the macro society level, even and this is as a snapshot, right? Because you got to look at this within the context of what we're doing and how what we've actually I think we've been on the line about talking about like how do people actually get information and how they see the world and how much of a role podcasts these other I'm trying to search for the word because the word that comes to mind is sort of this almost like non-establishment entities, but what is establishment in a world where, again, like one of the most popular media products is a bald head old comedian dude who does all kinds of herbs and stuff, who does um faux quixotic interviews with people where he acts like, huh, that's so interesting. And then like somebody tells him that the aliens built the pyramids. He's like, oh, could it be? And it's like, come on, dog. Anyway, the like this is the context we're in, right? But we don't respect as a I don't think we all understand. Like we still had the idea that like the news is like official and other things are like other things. It is like who
Right.
what anything is, right? So then then even was as a person who's been in on podcasts like early. I was an early adopter of listening to podcasts. I was early trying to figure out how do you make one. I was like, oh, you just make a recording and then it's like a software. It's like a code that tells people basically just where to find it. like oh, that's all. That's what just use the internet to so people can find it. And then it's become this whole other thing, obviously. But I mean, I've been listening to some podcasts, mostly goofy sports talk to start, and then a little bit of tech stuff and whatever have you since like 2006, right? The place where all this is now, this is all just media. This is all just the way that things get communicated, and with that, social media specifically is like and this like all weaves in together because the thing about the podcast is the podcast connect like they're like natively on the internet, so then they engaged with other things that are natively internet easier than like again a clip on First Take. Somebody from First Take has to like turn it into a clip and put it on the internet. Where
Right.
if you do a show on YouTube or wherever, or any of these was it Daily Wire? I don't watch nothing on none of them channels, but where the other people be at. um, it's on the internet already, and it may or may not be easy to have the integration tools where someone wants to share it that they it's I got access to an AI software that'll take any video clip and turn it in any video and turn it into clips, with fairly decent transcripts. I've been, if you do look at the internet, I've been testing it, right? So saying all that to say, and I was thinking for myself, I'm like, do I want to? I've intentionally, as like an elected public person, not use social media to like talk about the things I want people to know, because I'm like, I don't know if this place is safe. I don't know if this is what we should be doing. And then also the sort of weird bifurcation you got to create for yourself as a public figure, like where you got to put on your own thing. What I be talking about here ain't got nothing to do with my job or where I'm elected or whatever, because out of the concern that someone will try to take something that you may be doing for whatever reason, whether just I went on a cool trip and had a delicious pasta. I want to show you the picture of the pasta. And then there was someone dancing in the back. But, pay no mind to that dancing. Yeah, that just was happening. Like, I didn't ask for that, but that was there, right? And then somebody's like, oh, whatever attacks could be levied against one by knowing their personal information or who they are, or where they are, or using that as a way to attack their character, person, sense, whatever it may be. So you get all of this. And I was, sitting my thing. I was like, this is weird. I don't think I want to be on the internet trying to be like I'm three different people. It's just one Justice. You meet Justice in real life, it's one Justice. I don't be just telling y'all everything I think all the time because, you don't need to know. And also, some stuff you got to earn in life. But also, the very clear way, even almost anything that you listen to, engage with in terms of media, they will just tell you that, like, they're just making content, and they're on. There's like a lot of different shows that where they're like team content, meaning give me something to talk about. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. There's no judgment. There's no assessment of the value. The assessment is will other people want to hear what's happening with it, right? Now, back to our youth and the tabloid magazines and all these things, which are constructed on the same idea, right? Where like so through the 80s you get Princess Diana and Americans' fascination with the royal family just as a thing. But that whole, for some contingent of the world, I used to be like, why does it? I mean, I don't know why anyone. I mean, like I get why they care over there, or if you're Princess Diana, but I don't know why everybody else is telling us about this. And why is the media following them around? Like whatever spectacle within our society, right? Just that as a snapshot to and then particularly as it relates to our community, the content that cooks for our community is crime, mayhem, and malfeasance, right? Like if you get most of my life at least, either and then the Fryer brand, black person in the public sphere cussing people out, right? These are the media vehicles that track in terms of like, oh,
Right.
you see what did Jesse Jackson say about this situation, right? I mean, what did Al Sharpton say, right? Even to the place where we lose almost a contextual relationship with people that are actually, we're in the world as advocates and like activists, and then they become like this other thing, right? The place where maybe at one time the scholar or the intellectual at least would sometimes bubble up out of the ethers and larger media vehicles would share them. Where now, if you're a scholar or academic of some sort, if you want to, you could just go right. You just be. I mean, some of the most interesting people on some social media platforms are scholars who are sharing their insights about the world from their study and their experience. Now does it whatever the mainstream is, so to speak, does it get to that? I don't know, but definitely if you're looking for it, what I'm saying, there are some people actually that you can find some real interesting stuff that is like not just it's not full of crap. Downside is challenge. There is a level of you need to know enough to know that this isn't foolishness because it all looks the same when it comes to the video, when it comes to the stream. So say all right. So this is long just to set up to get to. It then also turns this like I'm like, oh yeah, I could see cussing somebody out if I was me and they said something about freedom and they was like, oh man, freedom don't do this well because it's daddy. I'd be like, first of all, let me talk about me and what my son got going on. All right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want to take a short trip to Suckertown, you know what I'm saying? Meaning suck a punch. You know what I'm saying? You see their four sisters, as my grandfather would say, keep it up, buddy. Right. But then it's like, wait a minute. It's like, LeBron been LeBroning miraculously for like 20 years. For the most part, has not had no crazy like, oh man, LeBron was at an event with so and it was somebody was found in the bathroom snorting cocaine or like, I mean, nothing crazy.
Right.
Gets
Right.
next to this man for almost 2 decades. So they suddenly had this, open warfare media beef, with you and I'll say it, at least within the context of sports, the most prominent black voice, on any network as it pertains that is who is also black, who is also, and if you and it's interesting you brought it up too, because if you ever look in, and I don't know how much you listen to Dan Lebitard, that space, the entity that Skipper, what's his name? I can't remember, but he was the dude who was at ESPN for a long time, and like
he left ESPN. Yeah,
like
yeah.
the other entity you make. But if you listen to like some of the stuff, some of those folks, when Stephen A. when they had the big thing when they fired a bunch of people a couple years ago, and they were discussing there was a Lebitard episode, and he was sort of discussing the construction of the business of media and how these, and basically individual entities and the presence that they bring is where this thing is at now, right? And then like that Stephen A, has basically fought his way to the top of the pile. I mean, basically say he beat he knocked Skip Bayless out the box. Like everybody is like it's him. And then McAfee, let's just say adopting from the Joe Rogan model, and the Joe Rogan content audience, just so we're all clear here, within media, demographic information, including racial and economic context, is a part of the business. Because some people, we're in a world right now where, and I might stare on this later, where some people are trying to, race only is an issue when you're bringing up races other than white men and white people. Race is bad if you bring it up like, oh, it's race ideology if you want to talk about a black person, but it's something else, whatever crazy shit they doing right now. And I said it. You know what I'm saying? Anybody got a problem with it, you can find me, you know where to find me. So like there's a demographic that McAfee tapped into with this kind of weird formatted show. It's got a lot of the like bro energy, like, oh yeah, bro, like bro, a lot of that. Uh,
bro.
now, and for the record, none of this is like a judgment on the character or nature of Pat McAfee as a person. Like he's probably,
Right.
I'm sure he gives to charity and stuff. From when he was a cult, it was. It even bubbled up then that he was an eccentric character as a punter, or whatever he was. That he wasn't just he wasn't just uh, goofball kicker back there. So any event, so he built this thing, leveraged his audience, and then an entity of ESPN size that's like, yo, we need to fill the airwaves. We need something that gets attention. This guy has built this thing. So, and he's in a position where, yeah, we gonna let him send this tape in and we just play his crazy show that don't adhere to these other norms, right? These other constructs, which,
Yeah.
I think it's always important for people to remember a lot of things that we consume, sometimes we will be thinking that there's some sort of we could be prone to think that there is some sort of structure that it comes from. And there are rules, right? Which, talk to my brother-in-law who writes screenplays, and he talked to me about the way stuff gets written, and then you start watching movies and you can't never watch them the same if you didn't know the rules. Like, oh man, here comes the what's his name. It's crazy. But saying all that to say, so then we get to this place where it's like, all right, y'all are throwing these barbs, then there's like a rollout ripple effect of our new, even us, we're talking about it right now, like of us talking about it. and
Yeah.
and then it gets to, again, like what is the most important? Are we learning anything from this? Are we seeing where within these sort of engagements, this is how this is how we keep attention, this is how we keep a thing going, and then people will tune in, and if they tune in, they watch the ads, or they buy the products, or they talk about the thing. It's I mean, on one hand, it's fascinating because again, like this, I've been super busy last week and a half with some work stuff and writing and some other things for work. So I haven't, and also I turned off. Not that I watch First Take that often, but I get I do the TV. I do the TV on the internet for a little bit, then I turn it off till the playoffs come back because I don't really need it till the NBA playoffs come around again. And I didn't know what was happening, and then people are like, oh man, you hear what he said? Oh man, you hear what he said yesterday though? And it's an interesting phenomenon, right? That this thing is something's happening. People seem to think it's really important, and at the same time, it's like, yo, are we seeing just a wider frame on this situation of like, um, you intentionally choosing, where you go talk so that you can leverage, certain thought, like who you trying to move, who you not trying to move. Is it a salvo? I mean, because it's, which then is interesting that basically it's on the same platform in the larger sense that it's both on ESPN. So it's like going on one ESPN show to bang on the people on the other ESPN show, but ultimately it's all on ESPN. On the same.
Right.
And I don't need to pick no sides. Though. I don't know these people. I mean, I get it. If LeBron, I mean, I think it's fun if LeBron gonna start talking spicy about everybody. Like I said, Windhorse called a stray. I don't even know if Windhorse had anything to do with it, but it's like, yeah, he's my friend. He think we cool. Like damn, LeBron. Like so, like that. Like, um, so yeah, I just, I, I don't know how seriously some people take some of this like for the actual like content of the content, so to speak.
Mm.
And yeah, like there's something with this, like the bride, you want you are playing in the league at the same time as your oldest child. You got that child, at least I think people think will be better and is going to make it to the league probably too. Um, yeah, it's gonna be some funky conversations because you're in the middle
And
of it.
I don't think you can separate yourself from the funk once you walked into the perfume house. Like you walk with your family to for females. I'm not talking about generally people talking about your family or your kids or your, whatever. I'm talking about you want your children to be professional players and you leverage it. Now, if you let the chips fall where they may and he went somewhere he couldn't play, guess what? It is what it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
he didn't get drafted, went to the G League and worked his way in. And we talked about this. I'm not saying I don't buy that, that fake meritocracy talk, right? I don't buy that. However, it is different when you create the conditions for your son to get there. Your son's not doing well, and people say, "Hey, maybe you created these conditions and it wasn't fair," and then you get mad
Yeah. Hmm. I hear that.
because you created the conditions. If you didn't and he didn't do well, then leave me alone. Leave my family alone. He's making it work like thousands of other basketball players are trying to every year. Right. So if and listen, if he's in the G League giving him 39 and 17, cool. He comes back up and he does stuff, cool. I want the guy to succeed. I'm just it begins an interesting thing of like I respect how they control their messaging, had interrupted. They kind of did really well at exposing enough of him, but then, controlling the narrative. This one just feels to be a bit like like you're now dipping into a space where it just feels like clicks, not the way that you wanted to present it. And maybe you're just shifting, you're moving that. Now also, again, because we have this now new world of basketball players talking about basketball, which is I think is a really unique space that like now you have 5 to 10 shows of relatively recent professional basketball players talking about basketball.
Hmm. Yeah.
Two of the shows actually talk about basketball. Most of them are extensions of those particular people's personalities, like, All the Smoke, right? And I watch some of All the Smoke. As an aside, I think Vernon Maxwell absolutely deserves his own show. He deserves a traveling show for the stories that Vernon Maxwell tells. And for folks who are listening and you say, who's Vernon Maxwell? Just put in Vernon Maxwell, All the Smoke. And you will get to watch some of the funniest shit you've seen in a long time from anybody, not just a basketball player,
Right.
anybody.
Yeah, you don't even got to totally understand basketball to get why what enjoy what he got to share because it's about life lessons. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying that so now we have this world and then it filters down and then everyone's like, well, the media is too hard on the players. And then, but then LeBron says Giannis was scored 250 on, Dr. J and them in the 70s. And it's like, no, dog, but it was some big violent guys in the
Yeah,
NBA in the
yeah,
70s. And guess what? They could punch you in the mouth.
right.
Like,
Right. Right. Them dudes was nice. They was the nicest dudes at their time. It ain't that much different. Y'all just get to work out more often.
yeah, exactly. Y'all get to work out more often. They got better shoes and you can jump higher. Like, don't confuse it. So it is an interesting thing that it feels like him letting this is my take from the attention economy piece, him letting his guard down, to me, is a bit of a chink in the armor. Like, decide where you decide where you're going to be and be there. And Stephen A. Smith, I get it. You negotiated the highest ranking contract in ESPN history and you had to rumble, but also acknowledge that you are and I think we have to think about these things. At some point, you are a component of the system as much as we'd like to see like everyone like to see themselves as different. You're part of that system and kind of what it produces and what it filters out. You know what I mean? So yeah, the biggest thing I just take is this, not even black masculinity, because that's not even a piece of it here. It's really what is the lengths people go to for the attention economy and how much should we be tuned in to any form of these discussions that at some point become soap operas that make people money but just fill in time and space.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't. I mean, and I think it's it's definitely the a foothold that's been on my mind, and I've talked to you about this in my liberty. It has been I've been saying the word two words narrative control. I think I mean also more almost like intention, like not so much control like you can control what other people think, but being involved in intentionally seeding narrative around like the world that you're in and who you are and what like that this is all a part of the way what we consume, what we learn, but also engaging in the ways we exchange information these days that like yeah the manosphere as it were in terms of which McAfee is a product of. Which whenever you're talking about sports, you're also sideline talking about what we call the manosphere because this men are the primary consumers of this dialogue that then trickles into other people. The trickles in to other communities, but men are at a big part of what's been becomes the center of these conversations. Um, you are then the consumer of other people's ideas of what are the ideas, things you should be talking about.
Right.
If we lose the plot, as they say, or lose the track of uh, that, we also as the people taking in stuff, and then again, what we decide to share, what we decide to get animated about in our own spheres, when we go outside and be like, yeah, man, because I was listening to what's the name, and these women they do need to be held accountable, and they'd be like, what are you talking about? Like right, like you're doing these, you're like, and I'm so mad at this person, and even which maybe we'll get to we'll definitely get to again in America because it is the moment, but we're still in this place where even like folks are framing conversations about our current political moment within um it's been put in these buckets of thought, right? And because if you're not thinking about it or if you're not experiencing it in a way like, wait, why are they bringing up um we're 2 months into a different administration, but I keep getting articles sent to me about black people's dissatisfaction with Democrats. Like I fucking need another article about that. How is like who is making sure I get that? As opposed to
Right.
like, yo, what? So wait, there's a South African dude who a whole contingent, a whole political party that has the means to go, hey man, get that dude up out of the office where we actually take care of business, right? Like it's wild stuff happening, and it's so much stuff. It's so much information. There's so many moving parts. There's billions of. Are we at trillions? We're at trillions of people. Right? Are we at trillions of humans? I don't know how many humans.
No, they were billions.
We're high billions though. We're high billions. We're way up
Yeah.
there. So it's a lot of people, right? And I think it becomes hard for us to grasp that, like, what we spend time on, what we get pulled in the conversation about, what we end up energizing or pulling energy from, like, starts to then get into what we spend time changing, what we spend time working on, what other people make decisions that should be a priority. And, it is so indicative of this woman again, like, in some ways this could be a time of the year. I mean, where you'll be like, oh, it's slow in terms of what to talk about because like we're like, all right, we kind of see what good NBA teams are, but we're still a month from the playoffs, so we got to fight through it. It's March Madness happening, and that's cool, but most people don't know what the hell's going on with most of them teams. So but it's fun, still fun. But people don't know college players the way they used to. NFL's done, baseball, like there's nothing to talk about. So it's like, oh wait, thank you, Steve. I mean, then the Luka thing happened, going to the Lakers, made lots to talk about, in that world. And then the Lakers actually like, wow, the Lakers might, they might be a contender.
Right. Right.
Right. So like, and then this happens, and what do you get? You get this giant bubble of attention, right? And ultimately, for a lot of this stuff, that's the attention is what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's not actually about solving anything, which might be
And the thing is, even in, and let's take it out of a political context. even in the realm of basketball, there's something interesting to be said about like the transition between teams that we all knew and loved and this idea of attention versus the teams that are really good right now are really good at basketball and they're also really boring. Right. And so I think people are grappling with that. And I think we could take it to the politics stuff too. You're grappling with like, okay, LeBron at some point will stop playing basketball. Who knows? But at some point he'll stop playing basketball. At some point Steph Curry will stop playing basketball, right?
Mhm.
And they made up the things that we know and love since over the last 15 years, really, give or take.
Mhm.
When that transition occurs, and then the probably the best organized basketball player in the world is a guy who barely jumps. Nikola Jokic. Like the one of the guys who's having the best series, the best season in some time is a Canadian basketball player who plays in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Like we're just at a different place in the game that doesn't it's not parallel to the entertainment component. See the All-Star game and why the All-Star game was so crazy, right? And so you have this structure that we have formed this structure based on the idea of attention. And then as the thing has changed, the stuff that we wanted to attract attention now is like different. So then you got to keep talking about Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. You got to keep talking about the Heat and people leaving Miami, even though the Heat are a mediocre team at this juncture. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have to do these things because of the attention economy,
Yeah.
and you have to keep talking about something that Now, obviously, in politics, there's never a dull moment, and I think the current president, Donald Trump, has been he was made for this moment, if for nothing else but understanding the attention economy.
Mhm.
He was a marketer and a person who engaged in the attention economy before we called it the attention economy.
Yeah.
He was a person that put his name on everything he did, unlike other rich people,
Yep.
right? Like he's the person that takes out full page ads in the Times and in the Post in the 80s, which was your attention economy at that juncture, right? And so we live in this time where this person is actually like the zeitgeist of the thing. And it's not positive, but I'm saying it's the zeitgeist. And so we find everything else responding to it that then responds, I think, harms our ability to then think about what strategies look like and how to have a sober eye. Because I'm going to go back to the basketball thing real quick. If you like LeBron because you think LeBron's getting cheated out of being the GOAT, then you're inclined to be down with him and say, Steve, that's if you're just hating. If you think LeBron's a prima donna who should have never got his first coach fired, that would be my father's perspective. Like still can't like him because he got Paul Silas fired in Cleveland in 2003. Then Stephen A. Smith is right. You know what I mean? And that's what it has boiled down to people with like teams. I'm on team this or team that. And so the attention economy, in my estimation, has constricted people's ability to see both sides of a conversation and has done much like MSNBC and Fox and all these things actually continue to put people and separate them in order to have more enjoyable entertainment, but actually take away the ability to like have nuanced perspective.
Yeah. All right. It's definitely it's like I said, when you zoom in it's like, oh, this is entertaining, and then you gotta like, when I want to think about it with like a broader, like, what is the impact of this, and because they seem so earnest when they're like talking about it on the TV, like they really sell it, like, yeah, I'm really offended by the way you said that to me. I'm gonna say the other thing. Uh, yeah, so it's bizarre. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess people could carry on and enjoy the ride or whatever. I don't know. Or you just do like me. I already know what's going on. I'm not going to try to find out too much more than what we've talked about.
I mean, so for, I guess as a person that's watching it, but it's like at the end of the day, either Ronnie plays good or he doesn't, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
because that's at the end of the day, he plays good or he doesn't. The Lakers figure out how to help him preserve his career, or they don't. And the privilege or the idea of nepotism and all that, and the role of black people of being able to create these spaces. I mean, we've talked about that, so no need to make that a bigger part of the conversation. I think it's just really when trusted sources do stuff for attention. I understand why. It's like when your favorite rapper does the R&B song.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I look at it like when your favorite rapper does the R&B song, and when we was like, "Yo, they keep it real. This is real hip hop," and then Nas does "If I Rule the World" with Lauren, right? Obviously, 30 some odd years later, really good song, really smart, right? But like in 1995, I was confused.
Like, man, that real hip hop. You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
what the hell is
Thinking on
going
the
on?
chorus.
You just did the jam. You just did a song with Raekwon in them. You just got, these hard to find songs we listen to on Stretch and Bobito or something. Like, what are you doing? Doing a song if I ruled the world. Like, so I think it becomes some of that, but I think it's a little more dangerous now because I was listening to a podcast. I won't name the podcast, but I'll say it's a really particularly popular podcast with three hosts, three black hosts. And I was listening to it, and there was a level of catastrophizing, like about like black men and voting, and just a lot of stuff, right? And I was listening to it, and I was like, wow. I'm sure the statements here make it easier to listen to and make it funner to listen to because people jump to conclusions and say things that aren't necessarily measured. But we have to be very careful because in a space where people's attention is taken up so fast, if you're a trusted source of information
Hmm.
and you catastrophize, then catastrophizing is the base from which other people think we start.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say what you
You know?
mean what you say, and
Yeah.
then you going. I mean, it's where the doubt seeds in, and then folks who don't see it that way go like, oh, well, that person is just saying anything for attention. So either they take it in and accept it and go, it is the end of the world, or they go, it's not the end of the world and everything's gonna be fine. And
Right.
neither one of these are true answers.
Yes. And you just hit it on the head. Neither of those things are true. In the sense that yes, you still are going to go on, but you go on too much and act like, and this is the piece about this whole like, and I'm going to put it out there, this whole we don't have to black people don't have to protest because we already did that.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't have to protest because 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those things are true. And we are facing something we've never seen. However, you want to frame that, you can frame it. But we're facing something we've never seen. So the idea that black people, as the moral center, and this is not a moral center in a big mama conversation, like you've been the moral center of the family. I'm saying you've been the moral center of the family because you needed to be the moral center of the family because things was messed up.
Yeah.
To abdicate that clarity and that clarion call because of being upset about a vote. Like you didn't. Again, this is not a team. But the assumption is 92% of black women and 80% of black men, whatever have you, voted their interest, not a team.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you voted your interest for a group of people who lost, that does not mean that you still don't care about what goes on.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't about the party, it was about your interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a very dangerous conversation that is easily passed off under the guise of terms like we tired.
Mm-hmm.
That then becomes a dangerous piece of like, oh, y'all are tired? Ha, we actually did it so you would be tired. Thank you. And as y'all now have, as we have conversations in our communities and debating being tired, and then people are like, okay, so while you're tired, we put our foot on the gas
Yeah.
because you're openly saying you're tired. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I digress, but
No, no, it's peace. No, you whew. Saying that to say, if I could add, make
yeah,
a slight pivot. I don't want to go too deep because we got plenty of time to do an overall all the various forms of government mayhem. It is I mean, this isn't even a fully formed statement, but the basic statement I want to say is to anyone that may listen to this and you may be having doubts, and it's like, man, seems like they're just trying to erase black people from stuff. They are. You're not missing it. They are. Like I knew eventually the African American History Museum in DC, the Smithsonian, would come up on the docket as what's going on in that museum? I knew it. I didn't want to say it because sometimes y'all, the folks, oh, Justice, you don't trust the Americas. We've come a long way. We have things are different. However, I knew, and in tune with this attention economy piece, these folks are intentionally they're like hitting every beat of the like. If you were to go stroll off into like the Reddit comments or the Quora comments or wherever, almost anywhere comments where something around black folks come up, and the like, yeah, but why do they get a whole month to themselves? Or why did it like these ideas that stream around these masking, the all racial resentment, rooted issues, um, and then it gets to again like you what they call it, race something ideology, whatever it is. These two words they put next to each other act like it means something. It it's I don't have an answer to it. I don't have. But I just need folks. I need to say it for my own mental health, well being, my own sense of making sure y'all know who I am, and also my thing. And this again goes back to my where I was sharing earlier about like taking an inventory. Like how do I want to engage with social media, my various ways I show up in the world, my creative and active interests and things that I want to do to be consistent with my character. And to be that person, I had to say, like, if you think we don't see, I was in a meeting and I said to someone, I was like, oh yeah, you can't even say black no more. Oh, they say that? I was like, no. I was like, have you not been listening? Every time someone says DEI, a black person shows up on the screen, or a black job is the one that's being chopped, or a black person, like, this is, you know, rooted in power and trying to make a public adjustment around who has power, who gets to set the stage. But also, there's this again a very insidious like people who have been saying these things for decades as subtext, saying like how much of this can we put on the front page right now, and germane to what you shared about the fight. it's some things I'm willing to, I'm willing to fly for the protest to stand in front of the museum and be like, nah, man, y'all stay up out of this. If you think you gonna
Right.
come in here and for whatever, and even to my super double pro black revolutionary brothers that may have some beefs with the museum, right? At its root, it does a very good job of like, hey man, this is how this happened, and with this community of people and how they became a part of the American fabric. But the top of the story goes into again, that lower floor is for other people to get understanding. The upper three floors, that's for us.
Right. Right.
And if y'all the people that don't get that or don't understand that, just I ask you to politely just step to the side and be quiet while the ones of us that do get that prepare to jump in and put our elbows out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, and the piece of that, God, is actually leaning towards this broader thing of like, do we get our whys? Right?
hmm,
When in systems, when things are going well, you actually will get things that's to your benefit that you didn't ask for.
mm-hmm,
Right? Like, and that's kind of the thing about the positive stuff about when you have a virtuous cycle. So you got a Smithsonian because people were fighting for generations for a Smithsonian to actively tell this story,
yep,
and it's a why. And then, but if you're like, hey, but why is that my why? Well, it's your why because even if it's not your why, someone else's why who looks just like you needs to develop their why. And that physical place with physical artifacts is a reason that they develop their why. Now, when we start going, oh man, I don't need no museum to tell me who I am. If museums wasn't important, why do people create them? If you didn't need museums to reinforce who a people were and are in perpetuity, why do people create them?
yeah,
And so it kind of goes to the again, this attention economy thing of like, well, whatever I pay attention to is what matters. No, there are things that actually matter that you don't pay attention to, like stagflation. Like nobody wants to sit here and like, when I start looking at stagflation, it gives me a headache because I did had to be like, okay, so it's stagnation and inflation, so it's stagnant growth, and how you define growth? There's inflation, and where do you feel the inflation, and what the hell's about to happen? Right? Like, cool, I get it. That is complicated, but the thing about it is even if you don't think about the macro economy, how it affects your pocket is how it affects people's decisions, which is one of the reasons where we are right now.
yep,
And you can't really, and obviously, race and white supremacy has been used as a means to then move these things through for people whose interest was nothing else but sticking it to people who felt like they were getting their comeuppance for 400 years of negative engagement, right? And so you're getting your look back as the common parlance is. But at the end of the day, these things and how they affect our lives and the ability in this attention thing to be like, well, I'm just not going to pay attention to that. I'm going to dance with a fan, and this is not a knock to people wanting to dance with a fan and the history and tradition of black people that's cowboys and we was the original cowboys, right? So like and cowgirls. Well, I get that. But the mother's like, man, ain't nobody worried about no Donald Trump. Get turn that song on. Now, there was some people say, why can't we do both? You can do both, but there's actually only a certain amount of attention that you have.
yeah,
So while you can functionally do both, know that when you're doing one, there's probably less time to do the other. And that's not a judgment. That is a very real thing about the history of recording how we think about attention, you know?
yeah. So so I was putting it out there. I don't even want to dwell on it too much. But one thing I'm pretty firm on is that I need people to know, or I don't want folks to be, at least anyone else paying close attention, to be surprised if I go off the handle somewhere. Because they're like, oh, so you gonna race all the black people? You gonna take Jackie? You gonna take Jackie Robinson? off the, you know, it's like I said, there's yes. I don't want to go. I won't go too far, but I'm gonna just say, you know, there's certain things, there's lines people cross where it's like, hey man, Susie and her four sisters, man, you leaving me like I ain't got a lot of options. I feel like you just being wantonly disrespectful, and I was trying to be cool. I was trying to be mellow. I was trying to deal with diplomatic engagement and various things, or how they like to say, well, I mean, you got to hear a little bit. I mean, they got some points. Okay, man, give me the points. Well, if we take the black people out, it's like, hey man, we're not gonna do that. Y'all not taking the black people out. I'm just, So if anybody got a question about that at some point, they're like, oh man, Justice seems upset about that. Yeah, I am. So, but there's hope, and maybe we can end our recording today on some joy. You as the my resident and closest friend who roots for Duke, is with the Duke Blue Devils. You know what I'm saying? Coach, even to the degree where I thought, and as I would say, even in our usually United collective disdain as a community for Duke, it was always with like, we don't like them because they're good. it's not just
Right.
it's not just because they're Duke. It's not like well, I'm not even gonna do that. But there's some other schools I can name that we don't like because 400 years of racism. But the we just we're like, oh, they're like good though, like so we don't like them. But I think I have a proposition to get America
Okay. All
going
right.
in the right direction. All right. There's a player there. His name's Cooper Flag. I believe he's from West Virginia or somewhere.
No, he's from Maine, Jack.
Oh, that's right. He's from Maine. Man, even better. We need Cooper Flag to be a New York Knick. This has to happen.
Woo, woo.
Think about it. We are at this place. Everyone says we're divided. Cooper Flag likes to try to dunk on people. He plays with a level of aggression and joy that I'm like, yes, this is what we're here for. Go get him. The kid can ball. He does funny stuff. They had a great commercial with he with grandma at the bingo hall. Everybody loves a bingo hall. Ain't nobody that had older relatives and they go to the bingo hall. Like I ain't going to the bingo hall, but they there and that's cool, man. Cooper Flag on the Knicks. You know, Madison Square Garden. They turn it, Knicks because Knicks are like good and competitive, and I'm back in and everything. We not gonna beat the Celtics and them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It just ain't. Not saying I ain't. I'm just keeping it honest. I gotta protect my feelings. I just got back in this relationship, so I can't I can't let dream too hard.
Yeah, you're vulnerable. I understand.
But Cooper Flag, if there's any chance that he could end up a Knick, changes everything because America is going to be in a flummox because they gonna
Yeah,
have
right.
to root for him. They're gonna have to root for him. The kid can play again. The demographic reality of our American experience. They're not going to be able subconsciously to look past and he's like it's like he's white American. He's not a European. He's not a person that came
Very,
from Europe.
very, very true.
And he's going to be in New York with us with the Tims and Spike Lee on the sideline and Jalen Brunson with his braids and the other and the cat out there trying to beat the allegations and that he's soft. You know what I'm saying? Not that any like thing illegal. He's cat. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this is gonna be there. Tibbs, burning his kneecaps out with the hard practices. America, we need this. This is our pathway to finding out what really matters to us. And maybe the Knicks finally break through and get a championship in my lifetime. All right. Am I wrong? Am I just way off? How far am I off? Just to come.
No, man. Well, see, here's the funny thing about Duke, because, there's obviously always so much like, usually because of Danny Ferry and Christian Leitner, right?
Yeah.
It's usually the reason that everyone's like, I don't like Duke, right? One of them is usually your Danny Ferry, Christian Leitner, and then Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley's third on that list, though. But if you just were mad or you always were juxtaposing the other point guards during that time, the Kenny Andersons, you know what I mean? You were like, I don't like him because I like him. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Randolph Childress. You like Randolph Childress better than Bobby Hurley. All right. The thing about Duke is that it, and this is also part of this challenge, people who want, they know they're going to the NBA, but they also kind of want almost like a legacy or a pedigree, right? They go to Duke. Like Cooper Flag could have went anywhere. He could have sat somewhere and did nothing. He could have twiddled his fingers for a year and he'd still be the number one pick. But I do agree that he would bring a level of passion, a level of intensity to the Knicks. Like, yeah, that would be a show. Because here's my fear as a Duke fan. Who's got the worst record this year? I don't know who's got the worst record.
Yes.
Like,
It might be the command. What's the Washington? Might be the Wizards.
like the Wizards. Like, okay, he goes to DC and then like his career gets ruined because nobody wants to come to the game. It's like so much stuff around that, or he goes to, again, in some instances, you get like an SGA was like, I mean, SGA wasn't the top 5 pick, but you get an amazing guy who goes to these places, and then you can't watch the games because they're 2 hours behind, and they've been like, you know what I mean? So you got these like amazing basketball players you can't watch. Like, that's why if you say it is real, like Boston, New York, LA. I mean, now, Miami, you could probably argue if the right person went to Dallas, or it's just like certain places you got to go to be seen. And it'll be really interesting. But, I ain't a Knicks tape guy, but, for we can all hope and dream. And I'm aligned with you, my brother, in this flag to the Knicks.
This needs to happen, man. It can bring us all together again. You know what I'm saying? We get we all go, there because yeah, man. It's so many layers. It's just you be there. It's exciting. It's slam dunking. Like I said, it's gonna put people in mental, in mental when there's not this. I guess it's dissonance, but the cross where you get cross signals because you look at something
Yeah.
and you want to feel one way, but then you got to feel the other way, and then they'll be like, oh man, but oh yeah, New York City, I hate it. Oh man, look at that guy. I love that guy though. It's like that's right. We coming together, man. This is American Jack. You know what I'm saying? This is what we about, man. And the kid likes to hoop. You know what I'm saying? And then, again, this has nothing to do with any actual personal content of who Cooper Flag is as a person. I'm just looking at the basketball playing hard. It's like since Kayla Clark didn't ask for all that crazy attention from crazy people. She's just like, oh, I like to hoop. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here trying to get busy. Which I respect about it. And she gets busy. You know what I mean? Just for the record. You know what I'm saying? They Clark out there
Right.
killing. Right. But this is a dynamic in our American machine. We have totally created it. It's like the white running back and the right wide receiver. We didn't tell nobody that they couldn't play running back, but some of y'all do. Y'all, every state in America. There's a younger white man. He run fast, and he like, man, I run fast. And somebody be like, no, you don't. And he be like, I do. And he's like, no, you don't. And then they make him play safety. You know what I'm saying? He want to play cornerback, like the dudes in the doggone Eagles. Congratulations for the record, too, to Eagle people. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Good job. Way to go. Stuff. Saying I ain't gonna.
Y'all got Russell Wilson though, man.
Hey man, we gonna have the most fun ever. I got Russell Wilson and James. I've been wanting James Winston as the backup quarterback for the Giants for like 5 years. This is gonna be fantastic. I'm gonna have a great time. I don't care what the record is. It doesn't matter ultimately. I don't even work there. So what? He gonna be throwing the ball down the field, making faces on the sideline, and we quarterbacking. We beating the allegations. You can't say the Giants ain't had no black quarterbacks. We got 2 of them. Same time.
Yeah.
The national nightmare is over, okay? I'm tired of this, all right? Yeah, I know it was out there. I understand. I think the Geno Eli thing is overblown because y'all think Eli look funny, so therefore you don't want to like him. Although he won 2 Super Bowls, beat the best quarterback and coach in NFL history twice.
Yeah.
Twice. But somehow how you play on the actual field, that part don't matter. It's how we feel about you and your EPA scabbity wibbity boo. Nobody care about that. It's football, baby. You got to win the game. It's like boxing. You got to win the fights. I don't want to care about your strike percentage. We like Mike Tyson because he knocked people out. I'm saying Muhammad Ali, he boxed, he knocked people out, or go mad rounds. And also, he was a brilliant man and all kinds of other stuff that made him a mercurial,
Yeah.
in American history. So I'm not saying, but just saying for the record, Russell Wilson and James Winston at the same time also means, Tommy DeVito should never see the field.
Yeah.
So go Giants. And it totally could be we're going to draft another quarterback, or maybe we're not. Either way, what we're not going to do? We're not going to give Cleveland a whole bunch of picks or dumb stuff to move up one pick to try to get Sanders. As much as I would like Cam Ward and Shador Sanders, you can't be a sucker for love, man. You can't just be giving up the future. And we could get a dual. You don't turn this into Giants talk, so I'm gonna give it to the world. See, we can get a dual Carter, and we could just have the world's greatest. We could have the greatest defense in America. Because
y'all get that
there with Lawrence and Burns and Thibodeau, and we get like another defensive tackle, man, terrifying. We ain't not win a lot of games. I'm just trying to go 7-9, 7-10, 8-9, baby. I don't need the playoffs. I just need to be competitive. Anyway,
I mean, you're in a tough conference.
Well,
tough division.
But he was going to take a step down because playoffs, Super Bowl. Washington, I know it looks great, guys. They got some breaks. For the record, both games, they really couldn't actually stop the Giants from scoring. If the Giants had a kicker in the first game, and if Dan Jones doesn't throw the one turnover, which is totally his fault. I saw a post, this is why the internet's crazy. I saw the internet post where this guy was making a case again, and this is why I knew this was going to be great for America. Once the Giants signed Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, he said that the entire NFL is trying to get the white quarterback out of football. And that NFC East now, which now does, every team in the NFC East is going to start a black quarterback. Which if you would have told us that when we was kids, we would say never. Never in American history will every quarterback in the NFC East be black.
Yeah.
Let alone one for more than a couple games. And that in our youth was only Doug Williams.
Doug Williams and then Randall.
And then Randall. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, America, man, we need Cooper Flag in New York. We got to keep this thing going so we could turn this thing around. You know what I'm saying? We get everybody together. We go, hey man, maybe we should, have, government should make sure it functions, and just randomly firing people is not actually a strategy. Who knew? Maybe you should keep the contracts that you signed instead of being like, we're gonna cancel these contracts because we mad. Anyway. I save deep racial grievance conversations and inaccuracy of understanding what the hell you listening to, for a future conversation. But Cooper Flag to the Knicks. Everybody, you need to get behind this. We don't need this American man from Maine in where you gonna end up like I don't know, Utah. We don't need that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he ended up on Portland, at least it would be good for me because I can go see it.
Yeah, I was about to say, being in Portland, it would only be good for you because the rest of us would miss the game.
You know what I'm saying? I can go see it, but it would be he would take the unit they got. You know what I'm saying? With him, the dude Sharp with Henderson,
Yeah.
But in any event, I'm just saying, America, get behind this. Tell your congressman, you know what I'm saying? Call the commissioner's office. I don't know how many pick. I don't know how the lottery system works anymore. I don't know if teams that are going in the playoffs, they still got like a real high shot, right? It's like they got a billion or something. But this will make America really, you know what I'm saying? This will take us where we need to go. Cooper Flag, New York Knicks. All right.
Flags to the Knicks, baby.
All right. So other than that, more to come. Good. Stay safe. You know what I'm saying? Don't eat any take any wooden nickels. Don't stand up in a rowboat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, all right. So that, I say peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Good Brothers. Thank you to my good brother, Majestic. Good Brothers is a part of the Ask Your Oldhead podcast, and you can support the podcast by doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? Recording, listening to the recordings, sending it, sharing it, you know what I'm saying? Rating, subscribing where you're sharing it. And also by searching for me on Patreon and becoming a subscriber. You know what I'm saying? Justice Rajee, a little something every month. And anyway, man, don't get too in that. lots is about to change. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you. And, you know, I ain't lying. It's really about to be some other stuff any day now. You know what I'm saying? So if you still listening, I ain't bullshit. All right. I'm out though. Y'all be safe. Peace.